Hey everyone, I'm not sure what Facebook is doing tonight because it's not cooperating with me. And so I hope everyone's doing very well. Welcome to another one of our interviews. I do want us to be on both screens, but it seems like my phone does not want to turn and Facebook does not want to allow me to do that. So my person that I'm going to interview tonight, Bianca, you might be small, even though I've tried to turn my phone, and if I turn it this way, nothing happened. It says rotate your phone. You can't turn your phone while recording, so I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm going to bring in Bianca and hope you enjoy our interview that we're going to do. We're going to talk about emotional and social wellness. So give me 1 second and I'm going to add Bianca. Yay!
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I don't know what's going on with my phone because I would want you first to be split screen, but it tells me that I can't turn my phone, and I'm like, oh, and I got used to doing it that way. So I apologize that you're in the small screen and I'm in the big screen. But thank you for
That's
on live as we talk. And I apologize, everyone. I'm a little bit stuffy, got a cold, but still wanted to do the interview because it's very important to keep the momentum going and for us to have these interviews and interview all these great people that I've met over a couple of months. So, Bianca, just kind of introduce yourself a little bit, tell us where you're from, uh, and then we'll go ask you a few questions.
sure. So my name's Bianca Hughes. I am an associate professional counselor in Roswell, Georgia, specializing in perfectionism. So helping women embrace their imperfections and authentically be themselves. I also work with people who are in or have been in emotionally destructive relationships, whether that's family relationships, parental relationships, romantic dating relationships, whatever the case may be. And just like you, Michelle, I'm from London.
Yeah.
Been living here for 12 years. So this is a second career for me as a therapist, and I love every minute of it. This is definitely what I've been called to do, and I thoroughly enjoy every minute of it.
Nice, nice. So let's kind of get straight in and dive in. So tell us about, I know you talked about that you focus on women, and so you talk about relationships and everything like that. So tell us a little bit about, let's go about the perfectionism piece first. Talk about the type of people who would come and see you, and what would be some of their issues that they'd be struggling with that would affect them emotionally and possibly socially for them to kind of, be themselves.
Yeah, so a lot of them come in with I'm feeling overwhelmed,
Right.
can't feeling like they're stuck. Um, some people might say an anxiety, but a lot of people don't. It's more of I'm overwhelmed, I'm feeling stuck, I don't know what I want to do in my life. I no longer know who I am. I'm in this relationship and I don't know where to go. I know I need to leave, but I don't know how to leave. Um, some people also, they just feel like they are just trying to perform really well. They do really well in their jobs, but they just don't feel like it's enough, or that they are doing enough, or feeling that they are successful in anything that they do. So some of the things that I hear people saying when they're coming in. There also may be some family challenges, whether it's current or whether it's past, or some people might say, oh, I'm finally ready to deal with this. Maybe they've done therapy before and now they're ready to deal with this part of therapy. So those are the big things. So, but a lot of it is feeling overwhelmed, feeling like I'm not enough, feeling down stuck. Hi, Lynn.
Yeah, I like that coming on. That's great.
So yeah, so that's basically what people come in with. And hi, Ricky, I can see you too.
Hi, Heather. So that's great. So And I mean, it sounds very, some of the things are very, very common, you know, because I, you know, was in that position, like, you know, what am I going to do? You know, you said you're in your second career and I'm in my second career, and it was like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
what am I going to do with my life? How am I going to, you know, how am I going to cope? And
Yeah.
it can be a little bit overwhelming, to say the least, you know, jumping into another profession. So what kind of skills or should I say practices do you give people who are in those situations to kind of get themselves back on track?
So I always like to tell people a big part of what works in therapy is a therapeutic relationship. So that's the relationship between myself and my client.
Right.
And so a big focus is building on rapport, letting them know, finding out who they are, and just being a space for them, for someone to just listen to them, because some people don't have people who just listen. So sometimes it's often just listening and validating their experience, validating their experiences, saying, also letting people know they're not alone, because people think, oh, I'm crazy, or am I the only one who's coming in with this? And I have to explain to them, no, that's not always the case. So doing a lot of normalizing their experience for them, and just helping them feel comfortable. So a lot of them is helping them. Some people, it's hard sometimes to identify even how you're feeling. So helping people to even put a name to what's actually going on. So giving them a feelings wheel is a skill that I always teach them, just to even help them to recognize it. If they can't give a name to it, maybe where do you feel it in your body? Or so those are the things I begin to help people definitely develop a sense of self-awareness of what is going on with them, and then eventually what's causing what's going on. So whether it's the environment, thoughts, people think, people are sad, expectations of themselves. So it's definitely a big focus is on creating that level of self-awareness.
Right.
Because I don't have all the answers, they do. I'm just a guide.
Right.
So it's there because maybe your brain is feeling a bit scrambled at the moment and you can't figure it out. So I'm just here to kind of give you some tools to help you go through that process. And a lot of it is just literally being that safe space.
Right. Yeah, no, having a safe space is always a great thing to have. And we all need someone to kind of, I know we can say, oh, we need a counselor or whatever, but it's always good to have that person who's objective, see it from a different angle, and
Yeah.
you know, something else to kind of think about, because you're always inside your head and you can't never get out of your head sometimes.
Yeah, that's half the problem. That's half the battle.
I know exactly. Try to get out of my head sometimes. You know, it does take a while because you have to talk to people and understand, and then think, oh yeah, I can look at it from that. Yeah, that's great.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Jennifer's on, another English woman.
So so what's been your, let's say, what's when people do come to you? Hi, Becky, thank you for joining us. When people do come and see you, what is kind of the greatest outcome that you can see for them to kind of, I say, flourish once they've kind of spoken everything out? So give us an example of a client maybe that, you know, you've kind of gone from them coming to say I'm having issues, and then they've kind of succeeded, and what kind of steps have you kind of given them to get to that point where they've been more emotionally aware of what they're doing, or they're having a better relationship with someone? Just give us an example, please.
So I always tell people, like, therapy looks like this. It's not like this.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. And I always say sometimes you get so prepared for someone to come into a session and then they just throw a bomb and you're like, oh, well, I guess this is not what we're going to talk about today. So I think hearing when you begin to see the relief on your client's face, they're feeling less stressed, they're feeling less overwhelmed. One of the big things for me is when we talk about something in therapy and then they hear it outside from somebody else. So that really knows, I had wrote about this the other day, when you are ready to participate in your healing journey, things outside of the therapy room are going to start coming in, resources and support, and everything's going to start lining up. And that's going to be something that's going to really help you in that whole process. So I always tell people that, you know, you have to participate, and then you'll see things lining up. So they'll come in, oh, I saw this, or, oh, Bianca, I heard you say this, or you were in my ears. So like, you know that they're actually listening and that they're paying attention. Or when their family members or their friends are saying, oh, I also, they're also noticing a difference in them as well, or maybe their co-workers, people they work with, are also saying they're noticing the differences. When you're hearing that they're able to, a big thing for me is they're able to take time to take care of themselves. They're able to take time to actually validate themselves and begin to recognize the changes in themselves, not just because someone else said to them. So those are some things that I love to hear with my clients, and just see them. Another thing is them getting really brave and bold and courageous, and taking steps outside of their comfort zone that they probably would never have done before.
Great. No, that sounds good. I'm thinking about myself, whether I've done any of those things. Like, have I done some of those things? And I'm thinking, but yeah, no, I mean, the words coming up this evening, stress again, you know, and, you know, self-care. We as women just, I feel like we do a bad job of self-care sometimes. And we do, I mean, the fact that I'm ill, so I am having to self-care right now. But, you know, we really do need to kind of get better at just looking after ourselves, because we, you know, we're carers and we like to look after other people, but, you know, we do get to that point of, you know, as you said, burnt out, and then it all falls apart.
Yes, yes, that is a huge thing. That is a huge thing. I mean, even for myself, but I'm a huge advocate and I do it. I make sure it's a big part of my life. But trying to get other people to do it is hard, because people have heard all their life, oh, it's selfish, or you're just thinking about yourself, and people don't realize once you are able to take care of yourself, and you know you're well, then you're able to effectively take care of other people.
You have hit the nail on the head. Yes, when you are well, everyone else can, you know, can fall into.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's so definitely true. I totally agree with that. So
yeah.
let's flip it onto the relationship side. And I know we don't really need to talk about domestic violence or anything like that, but what are kind of like the common things when it comes to relationships that people will come and speak to you about?
So, and I always want to say preference which type of relationships, because relationships is general. Romantic relationships, often a big case is sometimes it's I'm in it, or I don't know how to get out.
Right.
Or another huge one is I keep getting stuck in the same relationship patterns. You know, what's going on? Why do I always get stuck here?
Right.
Another one is sometimes people were perhaps brought up in households with alcoholic parents, or parents who are in addictions, or parents who were maybe emotionally or mentally abusive. And so now as adults, they're coming in to see me and deal with that aspect.
Right.
So I always say to people, I'm actually dealing with the individual versus the two people in the relationship.
Right.
I'm dealing with that one person that is seeing patterns in their relationships, or having just coming out of one. And so, yeah, that's the big relationship ones that I face and deal with.
Gotcha. And do you find that if they're having those issues in the relationship, that they're kind of like, you know, they're off balanced with other things that are going on in their lives?
Absolutely.
Doesn't it just, there's no meshing going? I'm not going to say it's chaotic, that it's like just like a bomb's hit it, but, you know, there are.
It is chaotic. It's chaos.
Yeah.
It is
Oh,
chaos. Some people, it's chaos. It is.
right.
So if you know you've dealt with chaos for so long, you have a tendency to create chaos in other areas of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then again, what's been the kind of like aha moment for people when they've spoken to you and you've helped them along that journey?
Okay, a big one with relationships is
Yeah,
telling people it's not all of their fault. They're not 100% responsible. In a lot of the cases, especially if it's abuse, they weren't responsible at all.
right.
And helping them work through that and begin to accept that it's not all their fault and that something's not just wrong with them, like it's not totally them. I think when people begin to realize that, it becomes very helpful, especially in romantic relationships. Like that person also had a choice too, and that person also had some part in it, and so that really helps them.
Nice. I like that. I like that. So what would be, so maybe putting you on the spot a little bit, what would be kind of like 5 tips that you could give someone to, you know, think about themselves in a better way, or, you know, maybe think about their relationships? What would be your 5 kind of top for people to, you know, about?
So my number one tip always is honesty, and that's honesty with self. Um, you've got to be honest in yourself in every area of your life. I don't care if you, what do you want to eat today? Be honest about it. You know, begin to be honest in the small things that you do. So, number one tip would be learn to begin to be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, know what you want.
Mm.
Know what you want. I remember someone asked me one time in a dating relationship, well, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know.
Right.
And so, yeah, so just asking yourself, what do you want? Whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's in life, like, what do you want? And I don't mean saying what you want, but some people say, well, I thought about this, but I don't know. No, what do you want? Let's just start there. It doesn't mean that this is all going to happen. Like, let's just begin to identify what do you want. Um, Next one would be boundaries.
Mm.
Um, Learning to set boundaries with yourself, learning to set boundaries with other people, knowing that no is a complete sentence and you don't have to give an answer to anybody. That's it. That's a huge one. Is boundaries. Recognizing in boundaries is, I always tell people. People think, oh well, I'm pushing people away, or I'm being mean, but a lot about boundaries is about your protection. So just like we all have skin on our bodies that protects us from the flesh, and so we don't get infected or anything like that. That's what boundaries are about. And I don't mean walls. I mean, I always talk about having gates, like a fence, and then you can just have a gate and you can let in who you want in, and then also the stuff that are in, you can also let it out. So, honesty. So, what did I say? Honesty, knowing what you want, boundaries.
Yep.
You did put me on the spot. Another thing is, that's okay.
So
I got a ton of resources. It's
that's
okay. Um,
organic. This is organic.
Another one is knowing who you are, just simply, and recognizing the difference between who you are and your role. So, especially with a lot of women, if I meet people, they'll say, "Oh, I'm a mom, I'm a teacher," but who you are is, are you kind? Are you thoughtful? Are you loving? Versus your role, because your role changes, yeah, even as a mom or whatever the case, it always changes, but pretty much who you are, your characteristics stay the same. That's who you are. So making sure you know who you are and making the distinction between role and identity is what I always say. um Oh, yes, that's so true. Jennifer said, yes, I so agree. She said, first warning sign I talk about, watch out for someone who discounts your no.
Yes.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, I learned that. Like, if someone doesn't respect your no, you have to start looking at that, pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is being able to embrace your imperfections.
Of course.
Just accepting that you're human, and that you are flawed and you are not perfect, and that is okay, and you're still amazing with all of your flaws.
Yeah, I'd have to ask my husband about and I think his sister's watching. I don't know if you're watching the But yeah, no, I mean, they're great. And everyone probably might be thinking, okay, so why is Michelle interviewing this lady? You know, she's talking about violence or domestic violence and relationships, but this all kind of builds around my, you know, we need balance in our wellness. You know, some of the things that Bianca spoke about, it's going to affect you emotionally, it's going to affect you socially. And so we may need to speak to someone about our imperfections, be the great person to speak to about it. You know, and then you can easily go away and think about these things, and take time out and go and be with yourself and take that self-care vacation to come back and reanalyze what needs to change. And again, Bianca's help, or take Bianca with you on vacation, right?
No, you can't take your therapist with you. I need my own vacation.
Oh man.
I need my own holiday.
Damn. See, I tried everyone, but that's kind of, you know, my job is to kind of just highlight to people that, you know, we talk about that we do this and we do that, but there are some aspects of our lives that we probably don't look at, and we need to recognize, and as you said, you need to address them and make sure you kind of understand them and then deal with them. And sometimes we kind of brush things aside, and
Mm-hmm.
that puts us off kilter, and we're not the person that we could truly and really be. And I know
Yeah.
there and done that, so I totally understand everything. You know, what you said this evening totally resonates with me, so I get it. So just before we end up or we finish, tell everyone how, if they want to contact you, how they can get in contact with you, and available if anyone wants to speak to you.
Yeah, I will. Just before I say that, I
Sure.
just wanted to add as well about the wellness, especially with wellness adventures. And so I used to work in the travel industry. So it's really interesting meeting you, Michelle, because I'm on the other side now. And so a big thing and a big love of mine is traveling. And that is definitely a big self-care item for me. And I try to incorporate that wherever I can. So I know you saw me the other day. I was out in business in Florida, and I managed to extend my trip. And I'm sure you saw my big fat bath in the hotel that I had as well, that I took advantage of. So I just want to explain to people that incorporating self-care even while you're working and doing business is possible, because I totally did it. So if you are someone who travels all the time, maybe when you're in that hotel, you need to decide to take a bath and have some candles and things like that, so that you are also taking care of yourself and being intentional about taking time away from work. So when I mean being intentional, making sure, okay, no, I'm going to go, this is what I'm going to do in this month or this quarter. I used to do this day, I still do it, haven't done it this month, that year that much. Is called a Bianca day. So I just put it in my calendar, and I wouldn't put anything in on that day. And I just did what I wanted to do. So I just also wanted to talk about incorporating that wellness travel side of it is so important if you can, or staycation or something like that. So I can be found. My website is biancahughes.com. Instagram, I'm authentically BU. Facebook and Twitter, it's authentically B, the letter B, and then U. I'm actually going to be speaking at the mental health symposium as a keynote speaker in August, and that's actually for the public. So it's going to be with people in the mental health field, being available to just people who just want to come in and just get some help and some resources, shall I say, really. And I'm also going to be a keynote speaker there in August, and that's the 29th to the 30th. So if you guys also want to catch me there, or get some other ideas and some resources for your emotional and mental well-being, you can definitely join that event. And it's free for the public too.
That's cool.
So it's the National Mental Health Symposium, yes, in Atlanta.
Is it downtown?
Yeah, it's downtown. Don't ask me where it is. But it will be on my Instagram very soon
Oh,
because she actually just posted a thing about it today, as me being one of the keynote speakers. So I'm going to be reposting that. So if you, and Instagram is the place where I'm most interactive with people, versus Facebook. But you might catch me on a Facebook Live. But if you are looking for services, as I said, biancahughes.com. And you can catch me there. You can contact me, phone, email, whatever the case may be.
awesome. And I have a good question here from my friend.
Yes.
Hey, boundaries matter in so many areas. How do you say no when someone doesn't actually ask?
Oh, okay. So how do you say no when someone, so I'm assuming, I'm guessing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if someone's just taking something from you, then you're going to have to be the one to speak up. Yeah, because in that way, even because you're still not setting a boundary because you're not saying anything. I'm hoping that's what it's in reference to.
Okay.
If it's in reference to an abusive situation, then that's different because then safety is always your number one thing in that situation. So if it's in that, maybe you might not be in a position to say no right now, but then you might need to go ahead and take care of your well-being and find a safe place for you if it's in regards to an abusive situation.
Nice, nice. I thought I'd wear my I need a vacation, not a weekend t-shirt. I need a vacation. Having this summer cold. It's awful. Hate it.
Oh, oh.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you get one soon.
Thank you so much for being on Facebook this evening, and fellow. The fact that we met each other at a networking event is awesome because I'm like someone else who lives in Roswell that's English. So
it was so funny when I met you.
I know you. I know you, Jen. You live in Roswell too. So my friend Stephanie, you got it. No, not abusive, but raising the scenario is harder than responding no. Thanks. So my friend Stephanie.
Yeah, and I always want to tell people, I always explain people to this, and I do this thing called a boundaries plan. So that's like a backup plan. Like, what do you want to say? What do you happen if they don't say it? So with that, just know that you're going to feel guilty when you start setting boundaries. That's normal. So just because you feel guilty, it doesn't mean you have to change the boundary. If you've sat down and you've thought about it and you know this is something that you really need to do, go ahead and do it. But you are going to feel guilty. You are going to have some doubts. But once you push through that, you're going to be so much more relieved. So yes.
Nice. See,
it is difficult. Totally agree.
Always is saying no sometimes.
Yeah, but I think that's sometimes why some people might not want to come to therapy, or some people get stuck, because you do have to do some difficult things. I'd be lying to say that you didn't, but I always try to get people to think about the other side and the other end. What is it that you want? What do you want your life to look like? And then once you focus on that versus what's happening right now, and it's helpful if you have a great support system, then you're able to get through it. But it's not easy at all.
Life is not easy.
Yeah, and that's why some people quit.
I know.
Yes, our work is aligned, Jennifer. I saw you as well. Yes, using your voice is powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Bianca, thank you so much. And as everyone heard, if you need to contact, Bianca gave her details. Contact me, and then I'll put you in contact. You can find her on Instagram or Facebook, but she's on Instagram a lot because Instagram and she posts on Instagram. But thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you soon. But everyone, take care and have a great evening. Thank you, Bianca.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye.